Good evening, everyone. Got a little bit of some setup there just before we begin. Kind of moved some of the other pieces that we were building because they were sort of getting in the way, and I thought it would be better to kind of have a clean slate building here. And we're just going to continue with the Pirates of Barracuda Bay. We are very late in the build with this. We're moving on to bag number 12. I think there's only about 15 bags in the whole thing. So yeah, we are moving right along, heading around steadily closer to the end of the build. So here we have bag number 12, and let's empty it out. That give myself a little bit more room to work. Hopefully that'll make it slightly more manageable. All right, a little bag here. And hopefully it'll give you at home a chance to see the pieces and the parts and the way everything's laid out just a little bit better. Make it a little bit better experience for you as well. All right. Grab the instructions here. And let's get right to it. So a lot of this bag, I think, is building one of the walls up of this part of the ship. Of course, this is kind of a whole nother section that we've started this time around. All right. I'm still kind of mulling it in my head about where to go after this or exactly what to do for the next set. I think that I may decide it the same way I decided this one many months ago, where I put up a poll on the page here. Hey, how you doing? I think a poll might be the way to go. And then we'll kind of just see what people are more interested in. I was actually a little surprised that this one won out when I did the poll last time, but there's a whole lot more interest in classic pirates, I think, than I was giving it credit for. I kind of wonder when we're going to get the results from that Lego anniversary thing, the poll that they did, to see what new set people would like to see. I know that I think Pirates was way up there. We're going to see maybe another pirate set of some sort, but I can't remember exactly. I mean, I'm all about it. I'm way into the pirate stuff, so. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the perfect thing for Lego. And I don't know why exactly, but it's always felt like anything island themed has always worked really well for Lego. I don't know what it is about just the Lego aesthetic itself, but there's just something there when it comes to kind of a tropical look. Maybe it's something about the way that, I don't know, maybe the way that Lego palm trees look or something. But it's always been a thing, even when I was a kid. And there would, the Lego, I guess it was, what was it called? Lego Island? Those PC, or maybe they were also on PlayStation, that game. I remember being genuinely interested in that as a kid. But when push come to shove, my priorities were always with action figures as a kid. So Lego was kind of the other thing that I didn't want to be spending all my begging points on. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. When you're a kid, you kind of have to play your cards right about exactly what you're begging for and how often when it comes to your toy purchases. So that was always something I had to be aware of. All right. Okay. And my childhood was kind of on the cusp of there being a collector's market for toys. Like when I was a kid, it was kind of the dawn of things like McFarlane toys and companies realizing, yeah, exactly. Companies realizing that there was an older segment. And wanted, you know, premium articulation and things. But like you said, there was always a limit to what she could do, and you had to be keenly aware of if you were like driving your parents so crazy that they would just be like, you know what, you're being very ungrateful here. So, oh, but my parents got me far more than I ever needed. So, of course, my mom, she was always a Barbie collector. So I think mom understood maybe more than anyone the collecting itch, I think. So I think she still gets it when I talk about it. I think mom, I'll kind of mention different things that I find to her and different videos I make, and she'll just be nodding her head like, yeah, you know, it makes perfect sense to her. So I grew up in a household where that made a lot of sense. To mom, anyway, it made tremendous sense. So God bless you, Mom. And God bless Dad. He tolerated it. So yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. Oh, this is a neat little setup here. It looks like we have kind of maybe as like a desk here, and we're gonna put some little accessories on the desk. It's those little, yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, I'm incredibly lucky, very blessed. When you're building these little kind of like life touches in something like this, I always love it. I believe what we're making is a quilled pen right here. And then beside of it, it looks like there's been a mug of tea that's being enjoyed. There we go. And maybe a printed compass piece. I think this, you know, what's a pirate without their compass, right? Yeah, that's definitely what that is, printed compass piece there. You know, this makes me feel a little bit better about my sticker application skills, because you can see that even the people at Lego couldn't get it printed exactly equidistant onto the piece. You can see there's a little bit more plastic down here, a little less up there. So you know what? If they're struggling, maybe it's okay. Maybe I'm all right. Maybe I'm not the screw up that I thought I was in terms of sticker applications. So maybe it's their way of telling us that we're all right. Okay. Just building up that wall a little bit. For as curious as I am about how this is going to look when we get this done in its first phase, where it's kind of broken apart and the pirates have had to scrounge pieces together, I'm maybe even more curious about what it's going to be like when the ship is kind of complete and perfected and everything is put in the right spot and everything looks good. I'm really, really curious about what reassembling the ship is going to entail. Is it going to be, and I kind of mentioned this a little. Oh, I've got the instruction booklet right here. Yeah, I don't have those kinds of skills yet. Right here. You know, there are some people, though, that they can do things like that just off the fly. There's people who are tremendous when it comes to, like, I guess they're kind of iterating as they build, and they're doing custom builds and things. And I think that requires a special sort of talent. I think it requires a special kind of intelligence, honestly. And I don't really think I have that necessarily. But then again, maybe it's the kind of thing to where I wouldn't know until I really tried it. And the truth is, I don't trust myself enough to try it. Nor do I necessarily have the piece, like library, that you would need for that. I think that would... There's kind of a bar to entry there when it comes to serious mock building, like custom creation building. I think that that's the kind of thing that would require you to really have, you know, a huge library of Lego pieces and a varied library of Lego pieces too. So I do think that would be kind of the I don't know, the kind of membership card you would need in a way. You'd have to have something to work with. For me, I would just have to start disassembling sets to try to get pieces, and I'm way too into having it be exactly just like the way that they intended you to build it. I can't hardly tear myself away from that when it comes to doing one of these custom builds or something, which, you know, God bless the people that can. Yeah. yeah, I think that there is definitely an amount of time that you would have to do it. I think it would sort of be a process of training your brain, like you said, that you would eventually, it would become very natural to you. And of course, we all know that children have ability when, when it comes to picking up new skills, because their brain kind of is in that flexible kind of range that maybe us adults don't necessarily have, or it becomes more difficult for us to learn these skills. And I'm thinking that some of these guys that are master builders were doing it, they were doing intense build stuff when they were very young children. And I think it did sort of end up training their brain to kind of get a better handle on that. And for me, I didn't come into Lego until quite a bit later in life. I mean, I had some Lego sets, but I would only really fool with Star Wars. Only a couple of the small Lego Star Wars sets. I was not a Lego kid. So I'm coming into it as an adult who is looking at, like a blueprint, wanting to get everything just right, almost like I'm making like a little model. In some ways, for me, Lego is less about the iterations. Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, there was 4 kids in my family as well. When growing up with 3 siblings. There's a lot of love there. We all are still very close, so that means the world. And I think that when there's multiple kids in a household, like in yours, then Lego is one of the only things, I think, that can be an activity that would really be appropriate for everybody, and everybody could kind of have fun with it and sort of, kind of work together on something. That's actually something that I've been really, I don't know, I've been kind of upset a little bit with Lego on in the last few years, and they're starting to fix it, by the way, but it's on some of these really big sets. Used to, you always got multiple instruction manuals. Like, that was just always a thing. You would expect you would get like as many as like 4 instruction manuals I've seen, and each one of them was for a different section. And a lot of the time, what you could do is you could actually build one of them. You could hand off the manual to a sibling or a friend, and they could be building another part of it while you were building one part of it. And then it was kind of a fun little race to see who was going to get done with their part first. And then you would, of course, both get done and attach your parts together. And there was this great cooperative experience. And my friend Brandon, that's on the channel quite a bit, that I co-founded the channel with, me and him would do that pretty often. That would be kind of something fun that we would do. We would both start building and sort of meet in the middle like that. And then a few years ago, they just stopped doing that. Instead, they just went for massive, huge instruction manuals that weren't broken down into parts anymore. It was really frustrating because I thought that they were leaving something really fun on the table that they shouldn't have left. And I thought that was a really fun way to kind of have some cooperative build and make something that could be a solo exercise and tedium at times, make it something a little more fun. You're discussing it as you go and kind of back and forth. But now I'm starting to see that not only are they reintroducing the multiple books, and I cannot remember where I saw this the other day, but on one of the sets, I believe that I saw an implication on there that it's like, said something like, hey, build simultaneously, and it's shown like maybe like little stick figures, each one of them holding a book or something. Maybe someone watching can identify this for me. But after I saw that, I thought, man, they're starting to hear that feedback loud and clear, that people like having multiple books. They like having, multiple ways to access the build, which it wouldn't surprise me if here in a few years, maybe paper books are kind of starting to go by the wayside a little bit, and they're starting to rely more on those digital kind of instructions, which does pose a problem for, I think, some of the kids in the world with the way they access Lego sets. Oh, that's great. Ryu, Remo, Rodri, and Robbie? Is that Rodri? Did I say it right? Or Rodri, perhaps. I love the R theme going with the names. That's awesome. Yeah, hey guys, hope you all are doing great. That is great. Now, what kinds of things do your kids want for Christmas this year? I'm always curious, and it's something that I love to ask because it just, certain things never change about what kids are into, but then some things, yeah, no problem. But some things do change pretty often. I don't know if they're the type to where they're all into different Lego sets and different Lego themes, or is it maybe they're more into, some of the digital avenues. I asked a kid the other day what they wanted. He told me Robux. So I guess that's for Roblox, maybe. I guess it's that app that the kids can buy stuff in and things and customize, and so maybe that's a thing for a lot of kids these days. With me, it was all video games and action figures, like easily video games and action figures. Every now and then, a certain VHS of something that I wanted, I guess. Oh, the old days. Okay. Maybe I can poll your crew right now on what my next Lego live stream should be. Oh, Japanese Kamen Rider. Aha. I'll tell you what, those are some kids with good taste, let me tell you. I love Kamen Rider. My favorite Kamen Rider is Black RX, and perhaps, maybe even more, is the one appearance Kamen Rider. One appearance only. I absolutely love Kamen Rider Zeto or Zeo, depending on how you see the Z there. But that movie, which is available in HD on YouTube for free, you can find it on there. Somebody uploaded, I think, a Blu-ray rip of the movie. Still one of my favorite Japanese tokusatsu things I've ever seen. There's some incredible practical effects in that movie. There's some real kind of creep factor. Ah, yes. Good stuff, good stuff. I feel that Kamen Rider is something that could be huge here if it was done correctly and if it just had the right chance. I would love to see Kamen Rider explode in popularity. And I don't know if it ever will, like here in America, and that's okay, because there's something special about it being, kind of its own little thing and, its own special little fandom, but I don't know. I don't know if it ever will. But it doesn't have to for me to love it. That's fine. Like I said, it can just be our thing. That's all right, too. That's all right. Now I've got the Kamen Rider Black RX theme song stuck in my head. They did Kamen Rider Dragon Knight a few years ago, and that was at least a partially successful, I think, westernization of Kamen Rider. At the time, I enjoyed what they did with it, but I don't think it quite got the right audience that it needed. I think it was sort of, I don't know, I think they aimed maybe slightly too old for the audience. It's a funny thing to say when you're always, trying to encourage boundaries to be pushed like that, but I think maybe it was slightly too serious, or they didn't quite know their audience. Then it was an odd spot for me because I had just started college, and as much as I wanted to be into it, it was difficult to do that. It just was its own little thing. I kind of felt like that I'd missed the boat on being into it at that point. Still funny to see Kamen Rider Ryuki be the one that they ended up choosing. I guess they were just going with a recent, I think it was Ryuki. I think that's what it was called. I guess they just went with a recent Kamen Rider that had a kind of more modern looking, outfit. Just blocked any chance, Kamen Rider. Yeah. And I'll tell you what's funny about that. And here's something that really still bothers me to this day. Is Haim Saban, when he reacquired all of his Saban properties back from Disney, it was something that everybody was, I think, rightfully so, very excited by. And then when he was registering all of his trademarks, one of the trademarks he registered, and this is easy to forget, he registered Power Rider along with everything else. And everybody felt very sure at the time, and there was lots of buzz, that Haim Saban was getting ready to finally try his hand at localizing. Once again, he'd already tried it in the 90s, of course, attempting to localize Kamen Rider and doing it with a Power Rangers style branding as Power Rider. And I know that sounds weird, but I was kind of excited because I thought, yeah, sure, let's see what this is. I'm all about this. But it didn't go anywhere. I think that at the time, that was Power Rangers Samurai that was out. And I don't think Samurai performed quite to what they were expecting or hoping, maybe, or something. Because to me, that's the only way that it would have just silenced Power Rider. And I think that at the time that the rumor, if I remember right, and I could be wrong, that the rumor was that Power Rider would utilize Kamen Rider Decade footage. Wasn't Decade the anniversary series they did? I think that was it. Where he's in like the pink, and then they have all the old riders come back. That seems ambitious for like an introductory Kamen Rider show, but it does make a modicum of sense since that was the huge breakthrough Kamen Rider at the time in Japan. So I do think it at least makes some sort of sense, but at the same time, it seems almost unlikely. But yeah, Power Rider, definitely something in an alternate reality somewhere. They're discussing their favorite episodes of Power Rider. I do know that I loved that team up with Black RX, which is probably still why Black RX is my favorite rider, I guess. In Power Rangers, Friend in Need, I think it was called. Yeah. Believe it or not, and I agree, that would have been too much. Believe it or not, and you may already be aware of this, but in the Masked Rider show that Saban tried in the 90s, there's an episode that utilizes, yes it was, that utilizes footage of a bunch of the old Showa era riders, I think practically all of them, looking down at Black RX and like spurring him on. Now that was and they actually left the riders in there. And I can't remember what their explanation was for who all of these other Kamen Riders were all of a sudden. I think it was supposed to be like for maybe his planet or something that he came from. They were like warriors from the past or previous masked riders or something like that. And, that was, to me, that still blows my mind that happened. Even funnier that they used Kamen Rider Zeo footage for that episode of the show. And there's still shots that are left over in it that you can clearly see that it's not Black RX being jostled around by, what was its name? Dora something? I don't remember. But the big monster. That it's hilarious to see him like being thrown around, and you can see that he's in like a green outfit, and it's just, I don't know, I love all that stuff. I sometimes wish that modern Sentai adaptation, like modern Power Rangers, were more bold in doing things like that, because I like them pushing to the very outer edge of what you can do in terms of bringing footage over and what you can use it for and how it can be utilized, what you can push it for. I don't know. I just think it's fun. I like to see ingenuity, and I like to see unexpected kind of things. I enjoy all of that. I want to see them take more chances and not just be. I stopped watching modern Power Rangers. After a while, it felt like my brain was just melting. It's nothing. It really isn't really anything against the show. There was a time in Rangers history to where I sincerely believe that most people could watch Power Rangers like Time Force and get something out of it. But for me, these new seasons are they're very much aimed at younger audiences, and I think that they're they're doing the job they're supposed to. And I just wish that there was more of a semblance of modern stakes, and I had to give up. I think it was one of those things where you just realize that, hey, this isn't made for me, and that's okay. It don't have to be made for me. I'm fine. I love all their cool little lantern attachments that they're doing in this. It's really a great little accent that really makes the ship pop, and I really like how there's the two little grabbers that have it on the side here. That is a nice little detail. Very cool. All right. I've got a treasure chest. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Hasbro, they've got me hooked on multiple lines, but also on the Power Rangers Lightning Collection line. I'm going through and trying to get all of them, and it's just sometimes I feel like there's more of them that I can keep up with. We have a treasure chest. They were kind enough at Lego to give us some extra little jewels here. So it shows only 2 of them being included. So it's nice that they doubled our treasure here. We're going to see if it can fit all of them. Maybe it can't fit all of them. Maybe there's a reason they're only showing 2. Yeah, I think that looks better than just having 2 in there. What a glorious bounty we have. All right. We're going to put that up here in the little quarters. Okay, there we go. All right, and on to bag 13. It seemed to be a very breezy bag that we just went through. Didn't seem to take very long at all, so yeah, I'm all about it. We are rapidly approaching the very end. Woohoo! Pieces are flying everywhere. So even like the Lego pieces cannot contain their excitement. Well, it looks like we have a lot of fun little printed pieces for this bag. We've got a map. Oh, and I see an important character hidden in here. You can see him smiling. He's glad we're approaching the end. All right, let's get this stuff open and get it sorted out. My patented method of not sorting anything at all. Seems like a great way to do it. You can ask all the experts I've consulted about this. They all agree. Yeah, no problem, man. Tell the kids I said hello, and you all have a great night. Take care. All right. We have good old Redbeard here. Captain Redbeard. And here is this really nice gold on the chest printing. And okay, got that on there. Oops, trying to put his head on upside down. With the face printing, I love the little 5 o'clock shadow that they have under the mustache, because we're gonna say Redbeard has been here for a little while. He's been stuck. Oh, look at this. We have a peg leg here, and it's fully articulated. I love that. Let's get her on there. Oh, and we have the hook here on one hand. Oh, yes. This is delightful. Absolutely delightful. And it's articulated, so you can take the hook and kind of swerve it around as he gestures and threatens the rest of the crew. Fantastic. Of course, we have his pirate hat. This is absolutely a wonderful looking ensemble here. And oh, the back printing is even so nice. Oh, yes. Now, this is a definitive Redbeard right here. I love it. Absolutely love it. We are going to just put Redbeard back here to let him supervise the rest of this build. We know that he will not have satisfaction until he's sure that we have done this correctly. So we're going to let him just watch, and hopefully Redbeard will approve of the job we are doing. So moving on, looks like we're doing a little upside down building right here. Let's see what we got. Hook these guys together. We have some interesting pieces. These are gold. They almost look like pulleys right here. Keep in mind, I'm kind of blind building here because I don't really know what this is supposed to be for this part. I have not studied it that closely. Okay, got those on there. Turn it over. We're building right side up again. Oh, that was just some little supports with what looks to be a desktop, and I do not mean a computer. That on there. I've really enjoyed this build. It's funny though, I should never ever ever do that again where I let a bunch of time lapse between steps in a build, because I think it goes a little way in kind of hurting some of the enjoyment a little bit. If you kind of let that lapse of time occur, that's going to steal some of the momentum and some of the fun of what you're doing. So I definitely don't need to do that again. Finish what you start, kids. That's for sure. I just feel like that it kind of got away from me for a while, and then you start accidentally looking at something that's fun, like a little bit of a chore, and that is never going to be good for your overall experience. So it's certainly a lesson I learned from this build. You don't ever just put it over to the side and think, oh, I'll get around to this. It doesn't often work out like that. But I'm enjoying getting to come back to it. I think in some ways it might have made it, a little less fun having that gap of time. If you're watching this, years from now or whatever on the playlist, then, you won't notice a gap or anything. But about at the halfway point, I walked away for a few months from this build, and it was not a grand idea. However, it did make me appreciate it, I think, a little bit more. I love this candle holder, this crisscross of elements here. If it's not already obvious to you, we are indeed making a little candelabra right here. It looks fantastic already. It's going to look even better once we get the flames going. Let's light those candles up here. Let Redbeard borrow a match so that he can get it all looking good. I like how the details in the Black Seas Barracuda set, Pirates of Barracuda Bay, I'll get the name right in a second. I like how the details are kind of broad strokes details. They're not meant to be super realistic. They're not even meant to be scaled that realistically. They're just more meant to be overtures of what, the details on a pirate ship would look like. And there's kind of a lot of fun emphasis and caricature to them. You don't want a set like this to be this super realistic exercise in model making. I don't think that that's the intention of a Lego pirate ship. I mean, just saying that sentence, somebody asks you what you're building, saying the words Lego pirate ship should inspire nothing but fun. It should just be absolutely, how are you even going to take yourself seriously at that point? You are having a blast building a Lego pirate ship. I mean, I love it. Oh, Redbeard. I'm going to put Redbeard up here in a safer location to kind of observe the progress of the build, as it were. Definitely going to keep him safe and sound up there as he is the elder statesman who will be observing, making sure that everything is just as right as rain from the deck. Okay. Oh, we're building a chair here. Okay. Well, I'm loving this. Again, another one of those great little broad strokes details. It's not meant to be incredibly realistic. It's just meant to give you that vibe, that really strong Lego pirate vibe with all the warm colors and the cool, over-exaggerated pirate interior details. Reminds me a little bit of, and I've said this so many times throughout the build, but heck, I'm going to say it again. Reminds me so much of the colors and the details that we would see in Hook's pirate ship from the film Hook. As if that last statement wasn't obvious, but still. I've got the John Williams Hook theme stuck in my head again. This is an interesting way of building a big chair like this with the arms. It's certainly different than any method I'd seen prior to this. I feel like every set that I build, they have a completely different idea about how a chair ought to be built. And I love it because that's the way it should be. I never ever want there to just be one standard way of doing something like this. These little mini builds are, to me, like the lifeblood of playset builds. I love getting that vibe that they're doing something, different, or I'm seeing a different method. All right, and this chair will go up here. Put it, Redbeard kind of supervise what's happening. There we go. Got his chair ready to go right there, so he can sit and maybe review a few maps and read a good book, maybe have some coffee of some sort. And we are building a little bust here, and I'm not sure what the intention is with the bust. Perhaps it is something he has plundered or stolen, priceless work of art, maybe from a museum or an ancient Greek island. There's a lot of explanations for why he has this beautiful white bust here. Tell me in the comments why you think he's got this and what it is. I don't know. Maybe he's just a lover of fine art. Maybe the funniest explanation could be that he sculpted it himself. Yeah, that's what we'll say. There he is enjoying this fine art piece. He is truly amazed by its beauty and just captivated. It's just really great. He's in it to win it in the art game. Like Vincent D'Onofrio, Kingpin, he has an appreciation for these things. All right. I'm building out a little bit more of the confines of the ship. Okay, go right there. Now we're actually going to be building the other wall to this section of the ship, so it's like the companion to this over here. So I guess we'll let this rest just for a second. And we're gonna pretty much repeat a lot of the process that we did the last time around, because that's what people want to see on a live stream. They want to see lots of repetition. They want to see you doing the same steps over. It's the most exciting part of any Lego live stream, when you're seeing a builder just repeat the same thing. And it's, what can I say? We give the people what they want here on Fanboys Forever. And, you know, we want to confuse the algorithm as much as possible. Algorithm is crying right now, wondering why a He-Man channel is building a Lego set. It's not happy. I'll put it like that. It's not happy at all. Yeah, we're not going to let the algorithm pigeonhole us into what we do here. We'll just keep doing random stuff just to see what happens. It used to be a lot more random. Every now and then me and Brandon would do a movie commentary and then turn around and do like a playset review and then do a Ninja Turtles something or another, and it was just whatever. But very quickly we learned that really wasn't the way modern YouTube wanted you to work. You were supposed to find the thing that it wanted you to do and keep doing it, and that's a shame, because I think that stifles quite a bit of creativity. I think you'd be seeing a lot better channels nowadays if it wasn't for that. And then all that does is just drive people to create multiple channels, and I mean, I might be into that at some point, but that doesn't really seem fun to me. Trying to manage all these different channels, and you're trying to be good at keeping up with all that stuff. It just seems like it's always seemed like a scam to me. Now I'll see these guys. We'll go over here to my other channel for this. I'm thinking, well, you could do it on this channel. You know, and that's fine. I'm not disparaging anybody that does that. You can do what you want, but why? You know, maybe for those ultra successful channels, maybe there's kind of a feeling, a need that they ought to do that, and that's cool. If that's what it seems like you ought to do, sure. Okay. Making us some more shutters here. Let me flip those around and install our window. If only window installation was this simple in real life, I would have got into it years ago. I'm still holding out for full-size modular building pieces one of these days from Lego. I don't think it would insulate very well. What are you going to do, insulate it with maybe Lego boxes? Start throwing them in there. Go. backwards. There we go. Now I can actually move and flex. Thought I'd goofed up on that. Okay. I was about to skip a section. That wouldn't have worked very well. I don't think. Maybe I'm just tired or what, but that seemed needlessly complicated. I don't know why that was so difficult to build that up that way. Maybe it's just me. Okay, got that on there. We have another one of those little archways here. And we have the two little rounded off pieces. Okay. Right. And that goes directly over the window for a little bit more kind of ornamentation. Looking good. I'm just building up a little bit more of that backdrop right there. It's amazing how some very simple slopes and things can really make all the difference when it comes to the smaller details. Okay. pieces that does a whole lot of the heavy lifting for us right there. And we are rapidly approaching the end of this bag. Really, all things considered, another very breezy bag indeed. Didn't take long at all to assemble the thing. But we still have a little bit of yellow ornamentation to go on the top here. That black and yellow contrast, I'm telling you, man. Works every time. Got our cones up here. We're going to say those are caution cones. And then just like last time, we build up just a little bit more ornamentation. So let's see. That. Okay. Oops. Let's go the other way. Well, if I can stop throwing pieces on the ground, maybe I'll get done a little bit quicker. There we go. One lantern coming right up. And we'll build this out a little bit with some finishing details. Looks like this is a little different than what we did on the other side. Okay. And that will just clip over here. And it looks like we have made perhaps a little bed, I think, that just flips down. I think that's what we're doing. That's so funny. Okay, we'll finally get to clip this on to the rest of the ship. We have just a couple more pieces for this bag. So, get this turned around the right way. That all lined up. Okay. See, now we've kind of started to get an enclosed looking space. And that bed can just go right there. Then from here, all right, get this piece on here. And then we have a couple of little steps. Redbeard looking out at us. And that pretty much does it for that bag. I'll go ahead and give Redbeard his saber here. There we go. There we go. All right, bag 14 will be where we pick up on the next time that we're together. And that will pretty well finish out the boat over here. I think bag 15 is meant to only be used, and I'm not really sure because I've not looked ahead, but I think 15 is going to be used as we reassemble all the parts into like a completed boat. So we are pretty much on the end game now, as Dr. Strange would say, and I'm looking forward to finishing it up. So the very next stream, I believe, will be the last when it comes to the Pirates of Barracuda Bay. It's been a fun ride, but I can't wait to see how it all wraps up. Anyway, though, I'd like to thank all the folks who were with me live, and of course, all the folks that watch later. It means a lot. And as always, God bless you and yours, and I'll see you on Fanboys Forever. Fanboy out.